Thank you, Dan. Good evening once again. The Championship promotion race is always a fascinating watch, and the unusual nature of this season, for so many reasons, had made things even more dramatic and chaotic than usual. Norwich seem to be the only side who've been able to rise above the madness so far, but both Reading and Bournemouth are in the thick of it. The Royals made an unexpectedly astonishing start and have maintained their challenge, while the Cherries have had a rough patch despite playing some of the best football in the division so far this season. Here are the two teams once again. For Reading, one change from their previous league game, and it's a return for Michael Elise down the right-hand side. Sonny Aluko drops to the bench. It is Raphael in goal, Holmes, Morrison, McIntyre and Richards their back four. Rinomota and Laurent in midfield, with Elise, Swift and Ajaria behind Zhao. Their bench is Estevez, Meite, Semedo, Aluko, Gibson, Southwood the goalkeeper, Tetek, Onan and Yeardom. And Andy Yeardom and Yaku Meite both returning to the matchday squad after some time out injured. As for Bournemouth, four changes from that 1-0 defeat against Derby. Carter Vickers, Kelly, Smith and Brooks are the players who make way. Mepham, Billing, Rico and King all return to the team. It is Begovic in goal, Stacey, Cook, Mepham and Rico the back four. Lerma, Lewis Cook and Billing in midfield, with King, Solanke and Danjuma in attack. Their bench is Smith, Surridge, Simpson, Brooks, Raquelme, Stanislas, Carter Vickers, Wilshire and Dennis. And we've spoken before kick-off, Danny Cowley, about the signing of Ben Pearson for Bournemouth. They've got such a galaxy of attacking talent and midfield talent. Where does he fit in?
Well, Ben Pearson is a top midfielder, top Championship midfielder, has been hugely successful at Preston. For me, certainly last season, one of the best number sixes, sort of deep line holding midfield player. But like you say, Bournemouth have so many good players in the middle of the pitch that there's going to be huge competition. But again, you know, with the amount of games that there are, competition is going to be crucial, and I actually think the teams with the most squad depth will be the teams that eventually come out successful at the end of the season.
Well, of course, there is still the possibility of outgoings from the Vitality Stadium as well. The transfer window closes on Monday as James Livingston, the referee, with a blast on the whistle, and both sets of players and officials take the knee all around the Medeski Stadium, and it's Bournemouth who will get the game underway. It is another fantastic weekend of football across the TalkSport network, and it begins here on the home of the EFL, TalkSport 2 at the Medeski Stadium. Reading against Bournemouth, two sides looking to close in on the top two in the Championship, and it's Bournemouth in their red and black stripes, black shorts and black socks, who have got the game underway. Reading, of course, in their famous blue and white hoops, and it's Bournemouth who are attacking the goal away to our left-hand side in the first half, as we look out from the gantry here, high up in the main stand at the Medeski Stadium. And our first question has been answered, Danny. It looks as though it's Solanke down the middle for Bournemouth.
It does, yeah. It's definitely a 4-3-3 for Bournemouth. Josh King playing from the right, Danjuma playing from the left. So that is interesting. Like we said, for Bournemouth, you know, they've predominantly been a back three all season. But straight away you saw the principles of Bournemouth when they had possession, wanted to make the pitch open and expansive, and try to play between the lines.
Well, Bournemouth won the corresponding game 4-2 at the Vitality Stadium back in November. They were 2 goals down in that game, but they recovered thanks to a couple of goals from Dominic Solanke, Danjuma and Lewis Cook. And they've not won here since April of 2015, when Callum Wilson scored the only goal. And they've enjoyed 5 successive victories against the Royals, but they're penalised, and Reading have a free kick just inside their own half, on the far side their left. And we have 2 of the Championship's top 3 goal scorers here this evening. The goals have flowed for both sides, and it's Reading who look to knock it long now for Lucas Zhao. One simple ball over the top, and it was over the head of Mepham, and Begovic had to react very quickly.
Yeah, the first opportunity for Reading really to stretch the pitch, want to get Zhao in behind the Bournemouth defensive line. That will definitely create a nervousness around Bournemouth, and the hope now is that Bournemouth will drop, and for Reading that they'll be able to play in the spaces.
Lucas Zhao really enjoying a career season for Reading. 17 goals already He'd never gone beyond 10 in any of his previous campaigns in English football, both here and at Sheffield Wednesday, as Danjuma on this near side, the left, has it for Bournemouth. 2.5 minutes played, 0-0, but Danjuma now works a 1-2 with Billing. A low ball pulled back towards Billing inside the penalty area, and it was really good covering by Rinomhota, who tracked the rung of Billing and in the end managed to jab out a leg and clear the ball away. And Reading eventually have a throw-in on this near side, but if they drop as deep as that, Reading, Danny, then they could have a few problems and will just break off because they've given the ball away. And here is Diego Rico down the left again, infield towards Danjuma, just occupying a pocket of space around the penalty area. He's quickly challenged though by Swift, but it's Lewis Cook who swings it wide towards the far side, and Stacey in towards King on the right corner of the penalty area, but he's quickly challenged by Omar Richards, and that will be a throw-in. And it's been a very impressive start from Jason Tindall's team.
It's been a really good start, yes. Yeah, really good control and rhythm from Bournemouth. They've moved the ball quickly. Certainly Reading have got into compact shape. Bournemouth are looking to try to expose the space down the sides, and yeah, it'd be a pleasing start for the away team.
Well, a long ball played forward for Reading again. Zhao will grapple with Mepham in the air to win the header. It dropped to Elise, who tried to work it wide to the far side, and Smith, but the ball eventually evaded him and goes straight out of play, and that will be a throw-in for Bournemouth. Reading were involved in league action last weekend. Of course, Bournemouth playing in the FA Cup. It was a 0-0 draw against Preston up at Deepdale, as Rico now for Bournemouth down the left-hand side, finds Billing inside the penalty area, back towards Rico again, but he's forced further wide by Elise. Here is Lewis Cook, square now towards Mepham, who does have the freedom to try and move into opposition territory. A flick from King finds Lerma, and now on the edge of the penalty area, Danjuma fires in the shot, left-footed, and it's beaten away by Raphael, and it spins into the path of Omar Richards, and he's able to wrap the ball against the Bournemouth player up for a goal kick. But if you give Danjuma that sort of space, he could make you pay.
He's been really lively in the first 5 minutes, been excellent down the left, always looking to roll inside and find the spaces, and when you come inside there and shot from distance, it was a good save by Raphael, really good save.
Nearly 5 minutes played. Danny Cowley, the former Lincoln and Huddersfield manager, is with us here on TalkSport 2, the home of the EFL. Coming up tomorrow at 12:30, we have Norwich, the leaders, at home to Middlesbrough, followed by Derby against Bristol City at 3 o'clock, and I'll be alongside David Connolly at St Mary's for the late game in the Premier League at 8 o'clock. Should be a good one as well. Southampton against Aston Villa, all part of game day, as Elise challenges Steve Cook on the edge of the penalty area. The ball ricochets off Elise and balloons high and wide for a goal kick, but Steve Cook just had a look there at one of his teammates and asked why on earth he was given a ball in that sort of situation.
Yeah, it was good pressure from Reading. Both teams are pressing high. It's an interesting tactical battle, actually, because Bournemouth are pressing really aggressively on the Reading back line, not allowing Reading to play, but obviously Reading have got that threat of Zhao going in behind, so the Bournemouth back line at the moment is very high and there's a lot of space behind them, so it's going to be interesting to see if Reading can expose that.
Reading starting this game 5th in the table, 3 points behind Swansea, who remained in second thanks to Conor Harahan's late equalising goal against Brentford on Wednesday. As Reading look to move forward again now with Elise, had Ajaria in support, but again the challenge comes in this time from Mepham, and now the giant figure of Philip Billing takes over, plays it wide to the far side, but it's an excellent challenge by Richards to ensure that Stacey can go no further than the halfway line. Now Ajaria. Rinomhota is at the base of the Reading midfield. Swift will now take over, and it's a lofted ball wide to this near side. Lawrence got time to bring the ball down, plays it in field towards Rinomhota once again. Now Swift, who is the real playmaker in the Reading team, and he pirouettes and plays it wide to this near side, and that was unfortunate for the home side because there was a slip there just as the wing-back Tom Holmes looked to gather and cross in down the right-hand side. He falls over. It's out for a throw-in to Bournemouth, but for what we said about Danjuma, Danny, we could equally apply to John Swift for Reading, because he is the player you've got to get tight to very quickly.
Definitely, we just saw two examples there that if you do give him time and space, he's a fantastic technician, has a wonderful range of passing, and Bournemouth certainly won't want to be giving him too much space tonight.
Now Elise losing out to Billing, but it's won back well by Holmes, but Rico goes to ground to win it back by the corner flag just beneath us here on this near side, and it's a long ball played forward for Bournemouth, but McIntyre will get there before Danjuma, and it's back towards Rafael, the former Brazilian international, in goal for Reading, as Lewis Cook rather leads with his shoulder into the face of Rinomhota inside the centre circle, and James Livington gives the free kick to Reading. We'll just have a word. 8 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Reading 0, Bournemouth 0 over on TalkSport tomorrow as part of game day. Everton against Newcastle is the lunchtime game. Adrian Durham will have all the goals as they go in game day live from 2:30, and then it's Arsenal against Manchester United, live and exclusive to National Radio on TalkSport at 5:30. And that's a fascinating game after the results after the last week or so. Now Rico on this near side for Bournemouth, clips it down the line, looking for Billing, and he does well to challenge Rinomhota, but no more than that, and Bournemouth have a throw-in on this near side. And I always find Philip Billing a fascinating player. He's got such physical attributes, but at the same time he does seem to be quite a languid player at times.
Yeah, I think that's a very good word to describe him, actually. Yeah, he does have this language style, and he left Huddersfield just before we joined, actually, and I think he was quite keen to move, and by the end of it I think Huddersfield were a little bit disappointed with maybe the way he behaved, but there's certainly no doubt in his talent. Physically he's just so athletic, his ability to cover ground, magnificent, but because of that language style, sometimes he can almost look like he's not bothered, and I think
Here's Elise's cross in, and it's gathered by Begovic. Sorry, Danny, continue.
Yeah, sometimes that just gets misunderstood, I think, because he's technically he's got real ability and real athleticism, and so it's an important season for him, actually.
A number of these Bournemouth players, of course, looking to make an instant return to the Premier League, where many of them have spent the bulk of their careers so far. Of course, they did lose one or two main names at the end of the season, which is inevitable, but the finances are strong at the Vitality Stadium, and the quality of squad they have here would rival many teams at the moment towards the wrong end of the Premier League, never mind the top of the Championship, as Josh King, with the peroxide rinse on top, looks to scamper forward on the far side, but he's challenging Omar Richards and then fouls him, and it will be a free kick for Reading. With 10 minutes played here at the Medeski Stadium on TalkSport 2, 0-0, neither goalkeeper has really been troubled so far, apart from the one shot from Danjuma, which was beaten away by Rafael. Bournemouth with the one real opportunity in the game so far. McIntyre has a free kick in the left back area, and he plays it long downfield up towards the halfway line. Zhao will leap, but he loses out to Mepham. Lewis Cook, though, can't go beyond Rinomhota, and here is Elise, who finds McIntyre once again. Billing looks to leave something on McIntyre, but the central defender is able to clear long downfield, and Lawrence isn't able to gather, but Reading do have a throw-in on the far side. And they made such a good start to the season, the Royals. 7 wins and a draw, their best start since that legendary season for them 35 years ago, when they won their first 13 games, an English League record, when Ian Branfoot was the manager and Trevor Senior was banging the goals in, and they were eventually promoted from the third tier. And I thought when they lost 4 games on the trot, Danny, that could be that for them, but they recovered well.
No, I totally agree with you. They had such a magnificent start to the season, and then after that difficult run that they had, then you thought that they might just fall away, but they haven't. They've come again, and credit to them. It's been interesting actually just watching the midfield battle, because they're man to man in there at the moment, and John Swift's having to drop deep to try to come and land on the ball and make things happen for Reading.
And the ball bypasses him now as Bournemouth go long up towards the halfway line, but McIntyre steps in ahead of Solanke, but now Solanke has it now and plays it wide towards this near side in the pace of Danjuma, and Holmes is back pedalling into his own penalty area as Danjuma continues now, fires the ball in low, but Holmes did well to stick with him, and he blocks the cross, and it's cleared away by McIntyre up towards the halfway line, though over the head of Zhao. And here is Mepham once again.
Fantastic defending from Reading there. Bournemouth on the counter-attack. Danjuma, who's looked so lively in this early period. Reading just doubled up on him. They know Danjuma wants to come inside on his right foot and stop the danger.
Now Holmes heads away on this near side. Elise, though, is finding double coverage whenever the ball goes anywhere near him so far, but he's won a throw-in, and very quickly he looks to release Lucas Zhao, but the ball spins up as Zhao is challenged by Billing, and although Zhao complains very loudly towards the assistant referee on this near side, it's a throw-in to the Cherries. 13 minutes played, 0-0, and this one of the key games in the Championship this weekend. Whenever you're playing your rivals, when you've been in promotion campaigns, Danny, you've got to beat the teams around you, haven't you?
Well, definitely always looking to do that from a points perspective. It's so vital. They're almost 6-pointers, but also that it's a psychological blow that you can land on your opponent, and particularly playing on the Friday night when you can get ahead of the fixtures. You know, it's not only a psychological blow to your opponent, but also the teams around you.
Well, Bournemouth are 2 points behind Reading in 6th place at the started players. Danjuma wins a free kick on the halfway line, and Mepham quickly plays it wide to the far side. And Stacey, one of a number of very fine fullbacks who have come through the academy at Luton in recent times, and Stacey now has been found by Lerma on the far side, but the ball just bobbles out of play, and it will be a throw-in to Reading. And Stacey was on the right at Luton a couple of years ago. James Justin was on the left, and you look how well he's progressed.
I know. Well, I played against that Luton team. My Lincoln team would have played against Luton, and Nathan Jones at that time would have been playing the diamond system, and they would overload you in the midfield, and then they would have James Justin and Jack Stacey on either flank, and just no surprise that they were able to go through the divisions like they have. But it's just been interesting to watch Bournemouth, just how open and expansive they are, how much space they make the opposition defending.
Here is Swift now on the far side for Reading. Clips a high ball into the area, which is volley clear by Rico. Now Billing, he's body checked by Rinomota, he's gone down clutching his face, but Bournemouth will continue because Danjuma's got plenty of space on this near side beyond Holmes, and eventually it was Morrison who went to ground to make the challenge, and Reading had the ball back. Philip Billing is back on his feet, rather ruefully rubbing his chin, and Rinomota plays it wide towards this near side and Elise. And it feels like a big pitch here, Danny. Obviously you've been at pitch level in the technical area. Is it a big pitch? Is it the sort of pitch where you can get the ball wide?
It is a big pitch. It's long and it's wide, but it's the way Bournemouth are making the most of the pitch at the moment. Like I said, always got width, touchline width. They've got threat in behind, they're stretching the pitch vertically, and they've got real control of this game. Just the amount of the passing lines, the triangles and the diamonds that you can see for the player on the ball. They're making Reading work really hard at the moment.
Veljko Paunovic, who's done such a good job since arriving just a week before the season started when he replaced Mark Bowen, pacing around the Reading technical area. And the same goes for Jason Tindall as the free kick has been given to Bournemouth. Challenge on the far side on Jefferson Lerma, and he will look to take it quickly once again, and Bournemouth are always looking for that quick restart to get Reading on their heels.
The aim for Reading will be to stay together, to stay compact, and then to try to turn the ball over and then be a real threat on the counter-attack.
Well, it's broken up now by Ajaria. Almost gave the ball back to Lerma, but now Ajaria can turn over the halfway line, looking to use his pace. Lucas Zhao is ahead of him, and now Zhao just forced wide by the pace of the pass into the right-hand side. Has support from Elise. Rinomota makes the break into the penalty area to use the room which Zhao had vacated, but Bournemouth in the end are more patient. Here is Elise once again, back towards another youngster, Holmes, and in the end Morrison will receive it midway inside the Reading half once again. Played wide by Laurent towards Richards, and Swift will take over with 17 minutes played, 0-0 so far here at the Medeski Stadium on TalkSport 2, and it's been a real game of chess between two sides in the top six. Richards infield again towards Swift, who just has to retreat towards the halfway line to gather the pass, and Richards again will find Ovie Ejaria, the former Liverpool player, making his 100th league appearance so far this evening, and he's won a free kick challenge by King on the far side. Now it's pinged forward by Swift again, and it's an excellent ball. Elise is in space on the edge of the penalty area. Ejaria now takes over for Reading on the far side, but there's three red and black shirts around him, and in the end he just clips the ball off Jack Stacey, and Reading have a throw-in towards Swift. And Rinomhota was rather pressurised as he received the pass, and Morrison will go all the way back towards Raphael once again, who really drills the goal kick forward towards this near side. Holmes losing out in the air to Rico, but Reading do have a throw-in, and we saw that ball there forward towards Lucas João, Danny, and it's that sort of service he needs, but Reading are finding it difficult to really get in the position to make that pass in the moment.
They are. Bournemouth have certainly enjoyed the early possession in the early territory. The challenge for Bournemouth, because they're so open, expansive in possession, is how they build their defence behind their attack. Because Reading will be looking at this, and they will see that it's a threat that if they can win the ball back and transition quickly, that they can cause this Bournemouth team some problems, but probably just need to improve the execution when they do turn the ball over.
Cleared downfield by Begovic, who's not have a huge amount to do in the opening 19 minutes, the Bournemouth goalkeeper. Now Lewis Cook goes back towards him again, and Lucas João can cut off the back pass. He does. He's in a wide area, but he cuts infield towards the edge of the penalty area, finds Swift with a shot, and he drags it wide, and that was a great opportunity there for Reading. The back pass was short. João quickly seized onto it, and Swift, for a player of his quality, will be disappointed to not even hit the target.
Best chance of the game. Fantastic anticipation by João. Reads the short back pass, nicks in front, and then just shows the composure to be able to take a touch, take another touch, and then find John Swift. And you'd expect John Swift to score from there for sure.
I mean, there was a player on the line. There wasn't a huge area to aim at, but he dragged it a couple of yards wide of the far post.
To have that time and space in the area for a player of his technical ability, he'd have expected himself to score there.
Bournemouth looking to respond to back-to-back championship defeats for the first time this season. They were beaten by both Luton and Derby without scoring, and they were a side who scored so many goals earlier on in the campaign. They've only managed 3 in their previous 6 games, which is surprising considering the amount of attacking talent they do have at their disposal.
Michael Morrison has started this game really well for Reading. Just as a captain, his performance has been exceptional so far.
Here is Lucas João, and was he fouled? He was, by Billing. And this is a free kick in a good area for Reading, 25 yards out, fairly central. And Michael Morrison is a player who brings so much experience to this team, and I think when he arrived, many people may have been surprised, thinking, was he a player to possibly improve a side like Reading looking to move on? But he's done just that.
Yeah, he's been a fantastic signing, really good in both boxes, deals really well with direct play. We've seen him today deal with Danjuma and double up, and already blocked the ball twice when Danjuma's got into good areas. So no, a really good start from the Reading captain.
And he's forward now. It's Swift who will curl in the free kick, right-footed. It loops high off the wall into the 6-yard area, and in the end, as Morrison challenged for it, the ball is sliced behind by Mepham, and it will be the game's first corner for Reading on this near side with 21 minutes played, goalless so far at the Medeski Stadium. And once again, it's a rather eerie atmosphere inside this stadium, which holds around 25,000 people when it's full, of course. But tonight only a few members of the press and television technicians looking on. Elise with the corner. It's an in-swinger into the 6-yard area, fisted away by Begovic, controlled by Swift on the edge of the box, looks to ride the challenge, which he's managed to initially from Danjuma. Swift now in the wide area on this near side, has support from Elise and eventually uses it. Reading now will try and open up the angle for the cross. Elise goes down as he was challenged by Lewis Cook, and it's another free kick to Reading.
Yeah, really good response from Reading in the last five minutes. Started to dominate territory and start to cause Bournemouth some problems. Lovely to watch John Swift on the ball. He just plays with his head up, the ball's glued to his foot. Technically so gifted.
And he was out between September and December, and of course Reading made such a fantastic start to the season, but at this stage now he could have a very important role to play. Here is Ajari now inside the penalty area, drives in a cross which Steve Cook has to stoop to send behind for another corner.
It was actually a really poor delivery from Elise from the left. Bad clearance from Bournemouth, and then Ajari got in as a consequence.
And Elise will take the corner again on this near side, and Reading enjoying a good spell at the moment. 23 minutes played, 0-0. And Morrison and McIntyre are both forward once again. Deeper this time from Elise, and McIntyre heads it back into the 6-yard area. Rico will challenge for it, then King heads away, and it's McIntyre with the volley. It's blocked, and the rebound is fired in, and it's Reading who take the lead. There was confusion there inside the penalty area. It ricocheted around it, and eventually it was sent high into the roof of the net. And it's such a crucial game at the top of the Championship. It's the Royals who score first.
A really disappointing goal from Bournemouth's perspective. Reading have just started to get control in this game, started to win some free kicks and some corners. A delivery to the back post, Bournemouth should deal with it. They don't. They lose the first contact, they lose the second contact, and they end up conceding. And it's a great goal for Reading, a really important goal. 24 minutes gone.
Josh Laurent, the player who got the final touch, only his second goal of the season. But it was that initial clearance inside the area from Stacey which just put the Bournemouth back four under pressure. And it was Laurent who came through to hammer the ball high into the back of the net. And Bournemouth, after back-to-back Championship defeats, are behind once again. And they've not lost 3 games in a row outside the Premier League since way back in 2013, when they were ultimately on their way to winning the League One title.
It's an incredibly disappointing goal from Bournemouth. Lost 3 contacts from a corner. You deserve to concede, and after starting the game in such a promising fashion, Jason Tindall will be really frustrated.
Rico now plays it forward on this near side. The challenge comes in on Danjuma from Morrison, and Bournemouth will have their first corner, and they're keen to get on with things here. They've won their last 5 meetings against Reading. Jason Tindall was in the Bournemouth team the last time they lost to the Royals back in April of 2001. More on that in a moment as the corner's fired in by Rico. Steve Cook was challenging. It's Danjuma who fires in the loose ball. It's ricocheted out wide towards this near side again. Rico with a deep delivery. King will challenge for it. King looks to win it back inside the penalty area, hooks the ball over the shoulder of Richards, and it's gathered in the end by Raphael. And neither side at the moment, Danny, is defending too convincingly at corners.
No, neither team have cleared their box particularly well. Danjuma certainly looks the most likely for Bournemouth at the minute. He's giving Holmes a real problem on Bournemouth's left side.
And the last time Reading beat Bournemouth, Jermaine Defoe scored an early goal for the Cherries, and 2 other fine strikers, Jamie Curitan and Martin Butler, responded for Reading. And that was some time ago when Alan Pardew was the Reading manager, and Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall were both in the Bournemouth team that day. Of course, Eddie Howe has now departed, and Jason Tindall made such a good start. Bournemouth had the longest unbeaten run in English football at the start of the season, 9 games. But now in the midwinter of a Championship promotion challenge, things are just beginning to get a bit sticky for him. Here is Ajaria for Reading again, running it on this near side, and there's a slip from Swift at the crucial moment as he looked to play an Ajaria in behind Stacey, and Bournemouth win the ball back again.
This will be the first time Jason Tindall as a manager has experienced a bad patch, and he'll certainly learn more in this period than he did in the first 9 games when everything went so well for him. And these are the moments that you learn about yourself, you learn about your staff, and also you learn about your players.
Well, they did enjoy 6 successive clean sheets in a run before Christmas, but more recently it's 1 win, 1 draw and 3 defeats. And I don't know if you saw the game, Danny, but in between Christmas and New Year they played Brentford at the new stadium. Were fantastic in the first half, scored the opening goal through Solanke, but lost that game 2-1, and I think they've never looked quite the same since.
No, I mean, when they've got it right this season, I watched them play Barnsley earlier in the season, they beat them 4-0. I watched them play Huddersfield, they beat them 5-0, and when they get control and they get a rhythm in their play, they are a very, very difficult team to stop. But on the flip side of that, when they don't seem to quite find that rhythm, or when they have setbacks in games, they haven't particularly recently dealt with that as well. And certainly, Jason will be looking at the mentality of his team. You learn a lot about your players in adversity, that's for sure.
Well, since that 5-0 win against Huddersfield, they've scored 4 times in 7 games, and that's despite having so many attacking players, which will be the envy of many sides in the Championship. Here is Lucas Yao now receiving the ball in the centre circle, and he only had one thought in his mind, to head straight towards the Bournemouth goal. He's eventually held up midway inside the Cherries half, and Steve Cook wins it back for Jason Tindall's side, and he's waving Rico forward to try and create the width, but Rico, with a rather dismissive hand gesture towards him, gives him the ball back.
Joe is so positive, he's so direct, he never gives a defender a moment to get their feet set, and he's such a handful.
Here is Lerma now, wide on the far side, the right, for Bournemouth. Reading leading here by a 0-0 with 29 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Norwich against Middlesbrough coming up at 12:30 tomorrow. Then it's Derby against Bristol City, with Southampton against Aston Villa coming up in the evening. And TalkSport 2 is the only place you can hear England's Cricket Tour of India that gets underway next Friday. Joe Root side, of course, fresh from a series win over Sri Lanka. India, of course, had that memorable series win in Australia. And the easiest way to follow all of the action, advert-free, is to download the TalkSport app. You can also listen on your DAB radio or tell your smart speaker to play TalkSport 2, as Ajaria has been felled by Lewis Cook just inside the Reading half, and John Swift is over a free kick once again. Reading leading here by a 0-0 as Rinamota's got space midway inside the Bournemouth half, and he challenges Rico, and he's caught by Rico right on the edge of the penalty area. It's a free kick for Reading and a yellow card for Diego Rico.
Brilliant play by Reading, just a diagonal line break. Fantastic awareness of space to receive on the back foot and then drive and force Rico into sort of last-ditch defending and giving a free kick away in a really dangerous position. Got Michael Alisi and Jonathan Swift both over this, and you're no more than 20 yards from the goal.
Question is, can either player get the ball up and over the wall, or do they maybe try and go round it?
Well, it's definitely going to be Jonathan Swift that takes it.
Well, it's left for Elise, who curls it. Begovic beats the ball away, and it's fired in by McIntyre, and Reading lead by 2-0. All Begovic could do was pat at the free kick into a dangerous area, and McIntyre, the central defender, was there to score only his 2nd goal of the season. Reading lead by 2-0, and Bournemouth are staring 3 successive league defeats firmly in the face.
Fantastic decoy on the free kick. It looked like Jonathan Swift would take it. He fainted to take it. Alisi takes it, and I don't think Begovic read it as well as he could have done, and he was quite slow getting down, and then parried it but into a danger area, and the centre half for Reading, McIntyre, the young boy, great finish. And this first 30 minutes just epitomises Reading really. Haven't had control of the game, but are so efficient so efficient, and they're 2-0 up, and Bournemouth now have a mountain to climb.
Well, Bournemouth have played so much more of the creative football, we could call it, so far, but Bournemouth found themselves under pressure there. It was that initial break by Lucas João which just rattled one or two cages. Then Rinamota's burst up towards the edge of the penalty area, illegally halted by Rico. That led to the free kick and ultimately Reading's second goal. And Bournemouth here are in real trouble. As Ajaria comes forward again, finding Elise on this near side. Swift was also expressing an interest, but it's Lerma who does find Stacey down the right, but it's Ajaria who comes back to win it back. Of course, Reading were 2 goals up at half-time against Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium and lost by 4 goals to 2, but that was a royal side in the midst of a losing streak, and the situation is very different here now. It is Bournemouth who are finding wins very hard to come by. And Reading have won 8 of their 12 games at home so far this season, losing the other 4, and they're very well placed here to improve on that record. And they've only lost once so far this season after scoring the opening goal, and that was, of course, that match against Bournemouth, as Ajaria looks to win another free kick in Bournemouth territory on the far side, but appeals are waved away. But there's real hunger from Omar Richards to win the ball back, and he finds Ajaria down the left. Mepham has been drawn out of the centre to make the challenge, which he does, and eventually it's cleared away up towards the halfway line. And here is Solanke, who's barely had a pass so far, but he's working hard to bring it forward here for Bournemouth, and eventually he's just pulled back by Morrison, and the free kick's been given. In fact, a yellow card will be shown, and it was Swift for the earlier challenge who was penalised.
Yeah, great break by Solanke. He has been quiet. Josh King been anonymous so far. Really quiet. And they Bournemouth need to get those 2 in the game if they're gonna impact this. It's a tough moment for Jason Tindall as a young manager. He's obviously changed the system tonight, conceded 2 goals on half an hour. Graham Jones, obviously an experienced coach, moves from Bournemouth to Newcastle.
Here's Rico with the free kick for Bournemouth, headed away as far as Lewis Cook. Stacey in support, now wide towards Cook on the Bournemouth right-hand side. Has support from Lerma, but it slid low towards King on the edge of the penalty area. But McIntyre, who recently scored the second goal for Reading, breaks it up, and now an excellent ball is played over the top, and the space and time for Lucas João to burst into the penalty area, but his touch there was poor. It just skipped away from him at the crucial moment, and it's gathered by Begovic.
Great opportunity for Reading. You wouldn't want that to fall to anybody else. Lucas João in space, carried the ball, just almost his legs went too quick for the ball, and he left the ball behind him. But another great opportunity. They've got some problems with their defence behind their attack, Bournemouth, at the moment, and like I was saying, you know, Graham Jones going to Newcastle, he was a pivotal part of Jason's team. That causes a lot of disruption behind the scenes, and all tough moments for him.
Now Solanke tries a shot. He was caught in the act of shooting on the edge of the penalty area by Laurent, and in the end the ball squirts behind, and a corner's been given to Bournemouth, and they are very eager to get on with things here. 35 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Danny Cowley and Nigel Adderley talking you through the action here at the Madejski Stadium, and Bournemouth trailing here by 2 goals to 0 will take the corner, and they are a team who've been stunned by the man with the 2 goals as the corner is flicked on at the near post by Solanke. Raphael comes to clear, makes a hash of it. There's confusion inside the Reading penalty area before it's eventually just lofted away on this near side by Holmes, and it will be a throw-in to Bournemouth.
Neither team's dealing well with set pieces, and it's interesting because both teams are defending slightly differently. Bournemouth's predominantly a man-to-man system with a front zone and a mid-zone. Reading are very much zonal, with a zonal defence marking the space rather than a man, but ultimately neither team dealing with the first contact as well as they would like.
Solanke hobbles away from a challenge, and then Morrison bumps into him on the edge of the penalty area. He didn't really appreciate that either, but Danjuma has the ball for Bournemouth on this near side, but he's given the ball away. It's cut out by Rinamota, who has been excellent for Reading in the first half. He's then shrugged off Billing and lofts it over the top wide to this near side, and Ajaria. Elise in support down the Reading right. Making the burst into the penalty area is Swift, but it's Elise who goes square towards Rinomhota once again, and now Ajaria has worked the angle for the cross down the right-hand side. Holmes will now gather back towards Elise again, and it's really good attacking football here from Reading around the Bournemouth penalty area. Ajaria once again now back towards Elise. He can shoot left-footed, he does, and it's wide in the end, but it's terrific approach play from Reading, and at the moment Bournemouth finding it very difficult to deal with.
Bournemouth are really struggling. This open, expansive game, they've started to give the ball away, and when they do give the ball away, Reading are now countering and taking the space and causing them all sorts of problems. It's been interesting. I think you're so right about Rinomhota. You look at all the big names in the midfield for both teams, and Rinomhota's just gone about his business really, really quietly, but so efficiently, and he's been excellent thus far.
Now Bournemouth have won a corner on the far side. It was Stacey with another burst towards the penalty area, and it was blocked by McIntyre, so another opportunity for Diego Rico to flight a high ball into the box here. Reading 2, Bournemouth 0 on TalkSport 2 with 7 minutes to play in the first half, which has flown by. It's been a fascinating game of football. It was a bit of a slow burner in the opening 15 minutes or so, but Reading have taken their chances. The corner is high into the penalty area, headed away at the near post by Laurent, and now Elise will challenge. Bournemouth want a free kick as Lewis Cook goes down, but nothing is given. The Cherries momentarily win it back, and then they are penalised. Mepham pushing on the edge of the penalty area, and the names trip off the tongue, Danny, for Bournemouth. Players who will believe they should be in the Premier League now, and of course Bournemouth are giving them the platform to get back there, but you've got to do it on the pitch. Absolutely,
and you know, credit to Bournemouth the way they started the season after the disappointment of being relegated, and particularly losing Eddie Howe, who'd been just unbelievable at that club and such a big part of their success. And the way they responded was fantastic. But they've you know, since Christmas really, they've lost their rhythm, and they've, like you said, they've got a lot of big players, and big players have big characters, and you know, the Bournemouth players now need to start putting the team before themselves, because there's certainly a number of players for Bournemouth that are not performing as well as they should be.
Now Elise was scampering away down this near side, and Steve Cook was drawn out of the centre to make the challenge, and he got there, but he's turning around looking at his teammates, the most experienced player in the team, and there's clearly frustration there in his body language.
Yeah, I think he'd be disappointed with maybe some of the work ethics from the players at the top end of the pitch tonight.
That's a very good point. Here is Swift, and now Rinomhota's being caught by Rico, and the Spaniard pleads his case to the assistant right in front of him, but it's a free kick for Reading, and there are a number of players at the top end of the pitch for Bournemouth who've got some fairly hefty price tags around their shoulders at the end of the transfer window, but they're not really justifying them here tonight, are they?
No, I think Danjuma in the early part of the game looked a threat, but he's gone out of it, and we haven't seen much of King.
No. Solanke's working hard, but he's often isolated. Elise with a free kick high to the far post. McIntyre heads it back into the penalty area. It actually strikes a teammate in the end, and it's lofted away wide to the far side. But again, another set piece, and it's Reading who are getting the first touch and the second touch as well.
Yeah, Bournemouth haven't won a first contact in their own box at the moment, and that's ultimately causing them an awful lot of problems. And yeah, going back to what you said about Solanke, I do think Solanke has worked hard. I don't think he's had much supply or much support thus far.
Now Lerma crunches into a challenge on this near side with Laurent. The ball spins high into the air, but eventually it's Rinomhota who picks up the loose ball again, and he is perpetual motion for Reading at the moment. Wide to Elise down this right hand side. Elise is challenged by Solanke, who's coming back to try and help a midfield which is severely overworked at the moment, because Reading are picking holes right across it. Now Richards once again. McIntyre has scored the second goal after Laurent got the opener here. Long looking for Rinomhota, on the edge of the penalty area, but Solanke comes back to win the loose ball for Bournemouth, but Billing loses out to Richards, and here is Swift again for Reading. Ajaria in the central area, plays in Jow on the edge of the box, he turns in field, left foot shot from him, 3-0, quality goal from Lucas Jow, his 18th of the season, and Bournemouth carved open right down the centre, and some big egos are being given a real hammering here tonight. It is Reading 3, Bournemouth 0.
What a brilliant goal from Lucas Jow. Just the disguise, goes to shoot, fakes to shoot, sells the defender, then comes inside, and just a brilliant finish off his left foot. He's a top player at this level, and Reading, you know, I know we're being critical of Bournemouth, but let's give Reading some praise, because having dealt with Bournemouth in the first 15-20 minutes, they've been exceptional since.
But I'm sure even the most optimistic Reading fan wouldn't have thought 3-0 2 minutes before half-time.
No, I think going back to Bournemouth, they've got caught up with the game emotionally. There's a lot of frustration on the pitch. You can see there's a lot of backbiting and arguing between themselves, and they really needed to get in at half-time at 2-0 so that they could recompose themselves and get back together. They haven't been able to do that. Reading are now 3-0 up, and this is Reading's game to lose.
Here is Solanke. It is absolutely imperative that Bournemouth score the next goal in this game, and they have the opportunity here because Stacey's got space down the right-hand side. The cross, though, was overhit beyond King, who never really got off the ground, and it's a throw into Reading on this near side.
Yeah, really good break. Jack Stacey took the space, and it was a really good delivery, and you would like a Bournemouth player to get onto the end of a delivery of that quality.
Well, Bournemouth's last victory at Stoke on January the 2nd, Julius Stanislas scored the winning goal that day. And he's been out recently, he's on the bench this evening, and he's been a real star for them in recent times, both in terms of goal scoring and overall creativity. And David Brooks is also on the bench, and Jack Wilshere's there as well, and the question is, how many players could Jason Tindall maybe bring on at half-time? But now Danjuma inside the penalty area. He's gone beyond Holmes initially, but it's McIntyre who comes across to make the challenge at the expense of a corner.
Jason Tindall's got a fantastic bench at his disposal. He obviously has the opportunity to make 5 changes. I don't think we've seen a manager make 5 changes at half-time yet, but...
Would you blame him? Well, it's Rico who will take the corner. It's an outswinger. High into the 6-yard area once again. Volley clear. Danjuma tries to fire the ball back in, but he miskicks, and it's won back by the ever-willing Elise. And for a moment there, Danny pointed it out. Reading had a break in field, but Elise couldn't see the pass.
No, yeah, there's so much space behind the Bournemouth team when Bournemouth attack. They've really got a problem with their defensive transition at the moment. They need to resolve that quickly.
Rinomota in behind Rico now, down the right-hand side, pulls it back, and Begovic came to challenge for it, but it's cleared away by Mepham. Elise now again, right corner of the penalty area, high to the far post, and it was Swift who was challenging for it, and he rather lunged in with his wrong foot there, and it's bobbled behind for a goal kick. But you've talked about Reading being or rather Bournemouth being expansive, but you can be expansive, but they're wide open.
Well, this is a challenge for all possession-based teams. They want to get open, they want to make the pitch wide, they want to make the pitch long in possession, but then you've got to make sure that you build defence behind it, so that if you do lose the ball, that you've got solidarity behind it. And at the moment, they haven't got the balance right. There's no doubt about that, and it's definitely something that Jason Tindall will be speaking to his team about at half-time.
We're into a minimum of 2 more minutes here. 3-0 to Reading. A high ball played forward for Bournemouth, and Lewis Cook will gather on the edge of the penalty area. It's crossed in, nodded down by Solanke, and there's a couple of ricochets as Solanke tried to find King, and in the end it bobbles through towards Raphael, who made that early save to keep out the shot from Danjuma, but apart from that he's not had a huge amount to do. Having said that, until the opening goal, neither had Asmir Begovic, but since then, it has been one-way traffic. And if Bournemouth lose this game, they will be 5 points behind Reading, and there is a possibility they could be very soon even outside the top 6. Solanke working hard to win it back, but he barges into Josh Lawrence, and Reading will finish the first half here with a free kick and another opportunity to pressurise what is looking an increasingly flaky Bournemouth defence. And it will be taken by Morrison. Veljko Paunovic is a very energetic manager around the technical area, but he'll be delighted with the way his team have seized the day here. Morrison with the free kick, and that is half-time, and what a first half we have had. Reading leading by 3 goals to 0. Bournemouth actually made the better start to the game. Danjuma with the early effort, which was turned aside by Raphael, but the opening goal really turned the tide. Josh Laurent firing in after a goal-mouth scramble. Begovic then turned aside a free kick from Elise, and McIntyre was there to put the rebound in, and Bournemouth were wide open for the third goal. Slipped through towards Lucas João, who turned in field on the edge of the penalty area, and he fired in his 18th goal of the season, and it could have got worse for Bournemouth before half-time. They're looking at a third successive league defeat, but for Reading, they could be closing in on the top two. Half-time, Reading 3, Bournemouth 0. Thank you, Dan. Well, Danjuma is the first player off to be replaced by David Brooks. Jefferson Lerma has also been replaced by Jack Wilshere, and the other player coming on is Adam Smith, and it's Diego Rico who has been replaced by him, and Rico spent much of the first half turning around and arguing with the Bournemouth technical area. So it's a bold move, but I suppose, Danny Cowley, not too many Bournemouth fans would be surprised by making 3 changes, and I would probably say fair enough.
No, I don't think the 3 players that have been substituted can question Jason's decisions. The first half performance was nowhere near good enough, and credit to the manager for being bold at half time, and he'll be expecting a response now.
So here is the Bournemouth team as the second half gets underway, with Reading here leading by 3 goals to 0. Begovic is still in goal. It's now Stacey, Cook, Mepham and Smith, the back 4. Lerma's been replaced by Wilshere in midfield alongside Lewis Cook and Philip Billing, and it's King, Solanke and Brooks. As a cross into the penalty area from Stacey on this near side was deflected, and then it's headed behind by Richards, and it's a corner kick for Bournemouth in the opening minute of the second half, and one which David Brooks will take.
A positive start from Bournemouth. Certainly they're a wounded animal. Reading are probably going to just have to see out this opening period.
Brooks will take the corner on this near side. Every single blue and white hoop shirt is back defending for Reading, and it's drifted in and headed over the top by Smith. The 2 subs almost combining there, but yet again it's been a recurring theme. Neither side can adequately defend a set piece at the moment. The Reading team for you once again is Raphael in goal, Holmes, Morrison, McIntyre and Richards, Rinomhota and Lawrence in midfield, with Elise, Swift and Ajaria behind João. If you just joined us on TalkSport 2, Reading scoring 3 times without reply in the first half through Josh Laurent, Tom McIntyre and Lucas João. And good value for their lead. Bournemouth team who started fairly well in the game, but really the longer it went on, the more and more ragged they became, as the free kick's been conceded by Adam Smith, who rather leapt into Holmes on the far side, and Reading once again have the opportunity to play the ball forward. And we talk about Lucas João, of course, Danny, an awful lot, but Rinomhota and Laurent were outstanding as that double pivot in the first half, weren't they?
They were excellent, yeah, really, really good. Just constantly turn the ball over and set counter-attacks up for Reading.
Now Elise, the ball ricochets back towards Swift, and here is Lucas João on the edge of the area once again, looking to twist and turn, but he's flagged offside. And that's the first offside decision we've had in the game, with 47 minutes played, and Reading here leading by 3 goals to 0 on TalkSport 2. Bournemouth heading for a third successive league defeat, and they could be vulnerable to the teams currently beneath them outside the playoff places if it stays like this, and there are some big games coming up for them as well. So throw in for Bournemouth on this near side, taken by Stacey, and now Billing finding Stacey again down the line looking for Solanke, but McIntyre will just boom the ball high into the stand on this near side. The ball actually comes down and hits the roof of the Reading bench, and it's a Bournemouth throw-in fairly close to the halfway line. And the Bournemouth display, of course, will dominate much of the chat around this game, but Reading themselves have done what they've done for much of the season, which is pick teams off in moments of possibilities. Here is King now, out on the left-hand side for Bournemouth in the second half. Looks to find Wilshere inside the penalty area, but the pass is beyond him, and it's gathered by Raphael. And we've talked about Jack Wilshere's qualities as a technical midfielder, but in this situation, in this game, it's crisis time for Bournemouth. Is it leadership he can offer, or just experience to try and maybe, if not turn things around, then at least produce a better performance?
Well, there's not many championship teams that can bring on the likes of Jack Wilshere and David Brooks, the quality of those two players at half time, and certainly they'll want to get Jack on the ball as quickly as they can. Yes, his reputation and his quality will definitely lift the Bournemouth players, that's for sure.
King on the edge of the penalty area, finding Brooks, who flips it back over the top, looking for King, but the ball was always running away from him inside the penalty area, and it's gone behind for a goal kick.
It'll be interesting to see Josh King's performance in the second half, because he's been, if we say it as it is, he's been lucky to stay on the pitch. I thought Danjuma did a lot more than he did in the first half, and Jason Tindall showed him a lot of loyalty at half time to keep him on the pitch. So hopefully he'll repay that loyalty with a better second half performance.
But it's good to see Jack Wilshere back out on a football field. Of course, he had a good year on loan at Bournemouth back in 2016-2017 season, and he had more minutes there than he's managed in the 4 seasons since, which tells you about the problems he had at both Arsenal and West Ham before stepping down to the Championship. And this is only the second match in his career that he's played outside the Premier League, and he comes on with his side 3 goals down. Morrison with an early ball over the top for Reading, wide towards Ajaria, who gathers down the left. Richards in support. Ajaria though sweeps it back towards the edge of the box, where Swift will take over onto his right foot. He fires in the right-footed shot, but this time it's too close to Begovic. But again, John Swift, he just makes things happen, doesn't he, Danny?
He does. He's a delightful footballer, lovely to watch. Just plays with his head up. Just a fantastic technician, and he's born to play football. Bournemouth have a free kick just inside their own half. Both managers out on the edge of their technical areas. Veljko Paunovic, of course, will have the more satisfied look at the moment. Jason Tindall wearing his puffer jacket, rather pacing around, and he's a manager who has 1 or 2 big decisions to make over the next few days towards the end of the transfer window. Of course, Ben Pearson has arrived from Preston. He will be somebody to stiffen the midfield, and when you look at the performance in the first half, you're thinking maybe you can get 1 or 2 out of the door as well. Yeah, well, we spoke before the game about where Ben Pearson would fit in, but certainly watching Bournemouth first half, you know, Ben Pearson's ability to put out counter-attacks, to play as that deep line midfielder, I think will be vital to Bournemouth. And what he will add, he'll add some bite to their team, and they've certainly lacked that this evening. Brooks goes down looking for a free kick after his challenge by Rinomota. Nothing given, but Bournemouth have it back, and it's Smith who plays it wide towards the far side, and King, who's got the opportunity to attack Holmes. King now inside the penalty area, comes square, and he threads it back out, and the shot is fired in from Lewis Cook, and it was always heading wide, right-footed, and once again a possibility for Bournemouth comes to nothing. It's been better from Bournemouth though, this first 7 minutes of the second half. More urgency, more intensity, more purpose to their play. This is an important period for Reading. They need to see this out. If they can see this next 10 minutes out, then you know, at some point the intensity will drop from Bournemouth, and Reading will then be able to go on and finish the game comfortably. Long clearance downfield from Raphael, and now Elise will find Swift, and Reading are moving forward again now with some purpose. Wide down the left-hand side with Ajaria. Swift inside the penalty area, goal side of Billing initially, then he pirouettes beyond Stacey, not once but twice, and he's found Ajaria once again.
It's good football from Reading. It's very economical football at times, but there is a degree of quality about everything they've done in this game so far. Rinomhota, though, has been robbed by Wilshere. Here is Solanke, but it's Morrison who steps in to make the challenge, and then he goes beyond Smith, and Morrison now, the central defender, careers into the penalty area, square towards Elise. The ball doesn't quite break for either Zhao or Ajari, but here is Swift with a right-footed shot. It's deflected. Ajari down the left-hand side. Zhao is in space inside the box. It's laid back towards Swift, and he lofts the shot high over the top, and it was so close to number 4 for Reading.
Brilliant play again by Morrison. Went through 2 tackles, finds himself in open space on the right wing as the Reading centre half. Carried the ball, played it into Elise. Elise just couldn't quite sort his feet out, but Reading have such a great awareness. The three that play behind Zhao, all technical footballers, all really aware of their space. Their combinations, their rotations are causing Bournemouth so many problems, and it's been a pleasure to watch.
And this a Reading team which finished in the bottom half of the Championship in 3 previous seasons after losing in the playoff final to Huddersfield back in 2017. And it's something we spoke about off air before kick-off, Danny. Veljko Paunovic arrived a week before the season. I mean, you've gone into clubs mid-season, you did it last season. To get this sort of tune out of these players consistently after so little preparation, that's a remarkable job.
Yeah, credit to him. He's made them much more consistent than they were last year. Last year, when we played against them, you always feared Reading. They were really dangerous when they found their rhythm. You know, I can remember last year, just before we played them, they beat Luton 5-0. And when they found their rhythm last year, they would blow teams away. But they weren't able to do it consistently. Whereas this year, much more efficient, much more clinical. And when they do get in front in games, as we're seeing today, they can be such a threat on the counter-attack. And again, I go back to it, the top end of the pitch, they've just got a really nice complement. All of their attacking players offer something different, and they're very, very difficult to defend.
Now Brooks, for Bournemouth, failed to create a single chance in his previous 5 league games after a very good start to the season. Bournemouth have scored over 60% of their goals in a 9-game spell in November and December, and they were putting in 4s and 5s on a regular basis, but that must now seem a fairly long time ago. As played forward by Cook, looking for Brooks, and this time he's failed and does get the free kick, and Bournemouth have the opportunity to build. And
it's an amazing commodity, confidence, isn't it? So fragile. Something that has to be nurtured, and when players lose it, and when a group of players lose it, it can be very difficult for the manager, and that's certainly what Bournemouth are finding.
Here is Richards with a throw in. Now Zhao led into the path of Swift, and it's hacked forward by Mepham deep into Reading territory, but McIntyre will bypass Solanke and find his goalkeeper Raphael, who clears up towards the halfway line. It's chested down by Swift with his back to goal. Now McIntyre. Richards again playing it long, looking for Ajaria, who in fact it was Laurent I should say, who tries to chest the ball down, but he can't pick out a teammate, and Bournemouth have a throw in on this near side. Bournemouth do have an FA Cup run developing, but of course this is the main priority for them. And at the moment they will remain, or should remain, in 6th over the weekend due to their goal difference, but they will sense that the pack beneath them are beginning to close in, and we'll be featuring 2 of those teams tomorrow on TalkSport 2. Middlesbrough are away to Norwich, the leaders, at 12:30, and Bristol City, who are also 3 points outside the top 6 currently, they are away to Derby County. That's our game at 3 o'clock, and on Monday night there is more Championship action on TalkSport 2, the home of the EFL. Watford against Queen's Park Rangers from Vicarage Road. Elise with a low cross into the penalty area for Reading. On this near side, it's quickly cut out and cleared long downfield, but it's Swift who gathers for Bournemouth, but he's given the ball away to Wilshere, and there is space and time now for Josh King to use his pace down the right hand side deep into the penalty area, and the cross is deflected behind off Rinomhota, and that could have gone anywhere, and Raphael is berating his defenders for the ease at which Josh King burst into the box.
58 minutes in, and it's the first time we've seen the qualities of Josh King. Good turnover from Jack Wilshere, good through ball, sort of pace and athleticism and real positivity from King, and hopefully he can take that into the latter part of this game.
Reading lead 3-0. Brooks with the corner for Bournemouth on this near side. Short towards Wilshere on the edge of the area, lofted high to the far post. King will head it back into the 6-yard box. Raphael will come through the crowd to punch it clear, and then on the swivel, John Swift will knock it long up towards the halfway line. Wilshere again, and he always seemed to be off balance there as he approached the pass, but he's just nudged over by Rinomhota, and it will be a free kick for Bournemouth down this near side as Wilshere is hauled to his feet by David Brooks. And it's Brooks, the Welsh international, who will take this free kick. Only 3 goals for him so far this season. Of course, he had those terrible injury problems which kept him out of the bulk of the previous campaign in the Premier League. But at this level, he should be making a massive impact for Bournemouth. He's got the free kick here. Clipped into the 6-yard area, headed away at the near post by Zhao. And the ball went behind before Elise hooked it further away, and Reading will now have to defend a corner once again here, and it's better from Bournemouth, but of course we have to have the context. They are 3-0 down in the game.
Yeah, it has been better from Bournemouth though, and Jason will be pleased that they've responded to the disappointment of the first half. They need a goal now, you know.
Brooks with a corner, very, very deep, and it goes all the way through, over the heads and beyond the 6-yard box, and out of play for a goal kick. Is Brooks entitled to maybe expect someone to attack that, or was it just too deep?
No, I think he overhit that one. I think that was slightly overhit, probably too close to the goalkeeper and slightly overhit. I don't think it was exactly what he was aiming to do. But like I was saying just before the corner was taken, you know, it's so important now that Bournemouth find a goal, and if they can find a goal, then that will change the complexity of this game. But at the moment, Reading are looking relatively comfortable and still a threat on the counter-attack. Danny
Cowley with us here on TalkSport 2, the home of the EFL. An hour played at the Medeski Stadium. Reading 3, Bournemouth 0. The score as a clearance from Begovic goes all along the ground outside the penalty area, but Reading can't really do much with it. Here is Brooks on this near side, and we welcome listeners to TalkSport to the Medeski Stadium, where Jack Wilshere plays it forward for Bournemouth, and here's an opportunity for a low cross in from Stacey, and it's set behind by McIntyre for a corner. Reading leading here by 3-0. All the goals in the first half from Lawrence, McIntyre and Zhao. Danny Cowley, the former Luton Town and former Huddersfield and Lincoln manager, is alongside me, and it's been a good recovery from Bournemouth, but after a dreadful first half.
It has, and that was a really nice move down the right-hand side that's led to this corner. Jack Wilshere and David Brooks, really good rotation, and Jack Stacey doing what Jack Stacey does best.
And the corner into the penalty area will be fired towards goal by Mepa. It's blocked, and then the shot is deflected behind. It was Josh King with the effort inside the 6-yard area, and somehow Reading escaped. Commentary on this game continues over on TalkSport 2 on your DAB national radio or via the TalkSport app. At the moment, it is Reading 3, Bournemouth 0.
What a chance for Bournemouth. What a glorious chance. Neither team have defended set pieces and particularly corners well all evening. Gilt-edged opportunity, deflected over.
Corner on the far side, which Brooks will take, an outswinger in towards the 6-yard area again, and it's volleyed clear comfortably by Zhao this time. And Bournemouth have had 1 or 2 possibilities recently in the game, but the chances have not been taken as Begovic deals with a back pass inside his own penalty area away to our left. Now it's wide towards this near side again, and Stacey. Mepham is still forward from the original corner. Solanke is unable to control, and now the counter-attack will be sparked for Reading once again by Omar Richards. He's fouled though by a retreating Stacey, and that will be a free kick for the Royals. Things just not happening for Bournemouth when they need them to. They had 2 or 3 bites at the cherry there inside the Reading 6-yard area, but they still couldn't force the ball in.
Bournemouth are starting to get some more joy down the right hand side. Jack Stacey and Brooks, just such a lovely lovely combination down this right-hand side. Jack Stacey's athleticism and pace on the overlap, and David Brooks' link and combination play is excellent, and they'll be hoping that that's the way back into the game for them.
Now Morrison deals with a high bouncing ball midway inside the Reading half. Smith though has it for Bournemouth, plays the 1-2 with King, and Adam Smith will try and break forward towards the edge of the penalty area in towards Solanke, but he miskicks completely 8 yards out on the angle, and the ball bobbles across the penalty area, and Reading will clear once again.
What a chance for Solanke. He's tried too hard. He almost looks like he's over trying. It's just not happening for him at the moment. Have to credit Josh King, who's been significantly better this half.
Brooks now with a burst into the penalty area, cut back towards Billing with the shot. Excellent save by Raphael. Billing volleyed the ball into the ground 8 yards out, and Raphael did well to plunge away to his left hand side and turn the ball around the post.
Bournemouth have had 3 gilt edge opportunities in the last 4 minutes and haven't been able to take any of them, but certainly their all-round play is much better.
Brooks now will take the corner. It's a very different game, but the scoreline remains the same, 3-0 to Reading. Deeper from Brooks this time. Steve Cook with a header, and it's poured away by Raphael again. Cook tried to loop the ball towards the far post. Raphael had ventured a couple of yards off his goal line, but was able to arch his back and make the save.
Reading ever so passive in their zonal defence from the corner moment, and need to be much more aggressive and start to get some first contacts, because otherwise they're going to concede.
Brooks again with another corner right on top of the goalkeeper, who fists away, and it's volleyed towards goal by Lewis Cook, but he turns away in frustration as his shot goes wide, and Raphael has gone down clutching his head, the Reading goalkeeper. I think he was caught there as he challenged the initial ball into the penalty area, and of course this will also help to manage the clock for Reading at a time when Bournemouth are in the ascendancy.
Yeah, I think Raphael's using his experience here just to maybe manage the moment, with Bournemouth having all the momentum. He'll just be looking to slow the game down, try to get some composure back in the Reading team, and try to get some control back in the game, because it's certainly all Bournemouth at the minute.
And Raphael is back on his feet and now has the opportunity to try and play the ball forward, and they just need to weather the storm here, Reading. 21 minutes into the second half, they lead by 3-0, all the goals before half-time. Bournemouth were dreadful the longer the first half went on, but they've been much better since, but they're yet to make any impression on the scoreboard, as Adam Smith was just caught by a stray arm there on the back of the head, and Bournemouth have a free kick, and Jason Tindall made a treble change at half-time. Danjuma, Lerma and Rico all replaced by Brooks, Wilshere and Smith, and all 3 of those players have made a positive contribution for Bournemouth since coming on. Now Cook swings it wide to this near side. Stacey has to leap and keep the ball in play, but he's done well to find Brooks. Brooks tries to link up with Solanke, but the return ball back from Solanke towards Brooks was just overhit, and it will be a throw-in for Reading on this near side, with 66 minutes played. Coming up on game day on Talk Sport tomorrow, Everton against Newcastle, followed by Game Day Live, and then Arsenal against Manchester United at 5:30. And on Sunday on Talk Sport at noon, more Premier League action. Chelsea against Burnley, and Southampton against Aston Villa will be live here on Talk Sport 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. And Reading here just looking to take their time and use as many seconds as they can from restarts to just try and quell any sort of revival Bournemouth may be building here. Richards with a long throw forward, it's headed away by Stacey, and then Morrison volleys clear from the resultant Bournemouth ball over the top, looking for Solanke. Morrison then was a header, it's returned to him by Steve Cook, and now Lawrence will take over for Reading, and he shrugged off the challenge of Lewis Cook. Laurent now continues down the right-hand side. Only Zhao inside the penalty area. He's now joined by Swift, and the cross from Lawrence is blocked by the legs of Begovic at the near post. Now Elise will try and head the ball back towards Swift, and it's Smith who will retrieve the ball for Bournemouth, and eventually Steve Cook has the opportunity to clear.
Well, a fantastic run by Josh Laurent. Just, I watched him a lot at Shrewsbury last year. Had a fantastic season for them, and come up to Championship. You always question League One players when they come up to the Championship. Can they cope athletically? And he's certainly proving that he can.
Alpha Semedo is preparing to come on for Reading, and I think it may be John Swift who could be going off, so that'll be a change to just try and stiffen up the Reading midfield. Now Billing back again towards Lewis Cook, who spreads it wide to this near side, and Stacey for Bournemouth. Now Brooks again. Of course, very good with both feet. Lewis Cook sprays it wide towards the far side, and Adam Smith has the opportunity to try and deliver the cross, but he goes short towards King, back towards Smith again. Solanke coming short towards the edge of the penalty area. Now it's back towards Lewis Cook. Wilshere plays it forward, but his attempted ball looking for King is met by Rinomhota. But here is Wilshere again. Rinomhota comes in with a challenge, and he's won it back from Wilshere, who's just gone down, clutching his thigh. Of course, whenever Jack Wilshere goes down, we always hope for the best, as Ajaria comes forward now for Reading from the left-hand side, square towards Zhao. Zhao rides one challenge, now it's further wide to Elise. Elise right-hand side for Reading, deep inside the penalty area, low across the face of goal. It's blocked at the near post by Mepham, and eventually Bournemouth have the opportunity to clear.
Another really good counter-attack from Reading. Really selfless play from their attacking players. Zhao just drawing the pressure and then giving it to Elise. Elise on the outside, crosses, just couldn't find a Reading forward. But they still carry threat, Reading, on the counter-attack. And just watching Jack Wilshere play, I mean, it's a joy to watch. His receiving and passing skills are outstanding, but you can just see that he's just lost a yard of pace, some athleticism, which no doubt have come from all the injuries that he's had, and you can see the frustration in him actually, because he just can't, where he used to be able to give and go and get away and run off the back of his opponents, he's just not able to do that anymore.
And of course he's lacking match fitness, isn't he? And that will take time. Absolutely,
yeah, that definitely plays a part as well. He hasn't played in the first half of the season, but it'd be hopeful that he can get that sharpness back. Time will tell whether he can or not.
71 minutes played. Here is the change for the Royals. John Swift is heading off, and he was about to make the long trudge towards this near side, and James Lillington, the referee, has actually sent him off the shorter distance towards the touchline on the far side. And Alpha Semedo will come on, player who of course was at Nottingham Forest last season, on loan from Benfica, played in the Champions League last year as well, before returning to the Championship.
A fantastic performance from John Swift, just really efficient with his use of the ball, some fantastic range to his passing, and like I said, technically he's such a wonderful player to watch. Probably doesn't have the physicality or the athleticism of some of the top players in the Championship, but certainly has the technical ability to match anybody in the division.
Now Brooks for Bournemouth. Steve Cook has the opportunity to come forward now, wide towards King, but Laurent makes the challenge, and it's quickly forward from Elise to find Semedo. His first touch, releasing Lucas Zhao. Zhao now can come infield towards the edge of the penalty area, back towards Semedo again. It's blocked, but it's only as far as Lucas Zhao, and the shot from him is turned aside by Begovic. Ajaria now inside the penalty area, down the left. Richards is chugging forward on the overlap, but Ajaria may go himself. It's back towards Josh Lawrence. Long range shot from him is into the arms of Begovic. They could have had 6.
They could have done, yeah, you're right. The game's getting more and more open. The longer it goes on, almost the more desperate Bournemouth get, and they're making the pitch so big that when they do lose the ball like they have done now, there's just so much space for the Reading attackers to exploit.
Now Lawrence finding Rinomhota once again. It's wide towards Holmes, and Rinomhota continuing to direct the traffic at the heart of the Reading midfield. Semedo back to McIntyre, and now Zhao looks to just lay it wide towards Ajaria, who shows his frustration as the pass is high over his shoulder, and Bournemouth have a throw-in on this near side. But this will be a result which will certainly raise one or two eyebrows around the top six in the Championship, and it will put Reading level on points with Swansea, who are of course currently second in the table. And it was a very good result for everybody else around them when Swansea and Brentford drew 1-1 on Wednesday evening. It was a good point for Swansea in the end, considering they equalised late with 10 men. But it's just beginning to tighten up significantly, and Reading will be only behind them on goal difference, level on points with Watford as well, who play Queen's Park Rangers live on TalkSport 2 on Monday. And it's absolutely breathless, Danny, and we're barely halfway through the season.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it, that we're coming to the end of January and we've still got half the season to come, which is brilliant for all of us, but so challenging for the players, certainly after such a short break between last season and this one. And you know, I'm watching Reading today. I've been super impressed by them, and certainly as a football club they'll be wanting the window to shut, because with their attacking players playing as well as they have done tonight, you know, if I was a Premier League manager, I'd be thinking about João seriously, because he's got all the qualities that you'd want from a number 9. Athleticism, his link and combination play with his back to goal is good. He makes penetrative runs. He makes lots and lots of penetrative runs. And then when he does get in behind opponents' defence, and when he gets in the area, he has the skill and the composure to cause the opponent problems, and it's been a top display by him.
Ovie Ejaria is down for Reading on this near side. He was just caught. They have a free kick, and Ejaria has stayed down on the left-hand touchline. Sonia Luko is preparing to come on anyway. Junior Stanislas will be the fourth change for Bournemouth in this second half. And having just had a peek at the numbers board, it looks as though Josh King or Philip Billing will be the player who goes off. So that would be another offensive change made by Jason Tindall. I mean, 15 minutes to go. Of course, you never give up a game. We've seen this season in the Premier League. I mean, we saw what West Ham did at Tottenham when they were 3 goals down with 8 minutes to play. But you do wonder if they've just blown themselves out in the second half by having that flurry of chances and not scoring a goal.
It looks like that, doesn't it, in the last 5 to 10 minutes. Reading have got some control back in the game. It's a real positive. Junior Stanislas coming back on the pitch, having been out. He's been a real miss for Bournemouth. Had a fantastic first half of the season, and he's a top Championship player. So it's a real positive for Bournemouth that he's back on the pitch. There's 15 minutes to go. It would be beyond most teams at this moment, but not this Bournemouth team, not with the quality that they have on the pitch.
Well, the change which was suggested was to say that Michael Elise would go off and Aluko would come on, but Ejaria is now being carried towards the technical area and then down the tunnel. So Ejaria is the player who has now gone off, and Sonia Aluko comes on to replace him. Player of vast experience, of course. Promoted with Hull City from this level back in 2013. Elise plays in the free kick, which is cleared by Josh King. His return ball only picks out Jack Wilshere.
What a touch.
Yeah.
What a touch.
Brings it down superbly, but then, just bearing at that point you made before, he was looking to get away from Lucas João, and although he won the free kick, he just couldn't make it, could he?
No, he hasn't quite got that athleticism at the moment, and that's why he drew the foul. He did so intelligently.
14 minutes to play. Reading 3, Bournemouth 0 here on the home of the EFL, TalkSport 2. And TalkSport 2 is the only place you can hear England's Cricket Tour of India, which gets underway next Friday. Joe Root's side, of course, fresh from a series win over Sri Lanka, but India had that memorable series victory away in Australia. The easiest way to follow all of the advert-free action is to download the TalkSport app. You can also listen on your DAB radio or tell your smart speaker to play TalkSport 2. As Billing picks up a loose ball inside the centre circle for Bournemouth and transfers it wide to the far side, and Smith. King is the option, but he's currently stood stock still, so it's back in field to Lewis Cook. And now Mepham. He's got space and time to bring the ball out for Bournemouth. Wide to Brooks on the edge of the penalty area down the right-hand side. Brooks has had his run tracked by Elise, but he comes in field, and now Lewis Cook has space once again, but he shows too much of that to Semedo, who almost wins it back, and had he done so, he could have played in Lucas João one-on-one with Steve Cook from the halfway line. But here is Stacey now for Bournemouth, and it's Richards who slides in with a challenge, and it's a corner to Bournemouth, but it could have been a breakaway for Reading. David Brooks will take it with 11.5 minutes to play here. Reading leading Bournemouth by 3-0, and they are about to join Swansea and Watford on 47 points, 6 behind the leaders Norwich, who play Middlesbrough live on Talk Sport 2 tomorrow. Brooks with the corner, and it's met by Morrison, who heads clear as far as Wilshere. Now Brooks again. Wilshere looks to create the overlap, but Brooks goes himself. There's pace on the cross, but it's too close to Raphael, who gathers well. And there are so many offensive-minded players on the pitch now for Bournemouth. Of course they have their back four, but apart from that, Lewis Cook is sort of anchoring the midfield, but he's also a player who would look to be offensive when he can be.
Yeah, Bournemouth have got an array of talent on the pitch now, and so many technical players. Lewis Cook is a little exposed at the bottom of the midfield, and certainly Reading, when they do turn the ball over, are still a real threat to them. They're definitely starting to get some joy down this right-hand side. That looked like a strange decision from the referee there. Well,
Brooks was in full flight. Laurent came across to check him. Both players went tumbling, and it was Brooks who was penalised for the challenge on Laurent. Looked like the other way around to me.
Yeah, David Brooks looks particularly perplexed by that, and I have to agree with him, if I'm honest. And here's another change. So Junior Stanislas now coming on for Philip Billing, so another attacking player for Bournemouth. Be interesting to see where Junior will play.
Well, he's scored 7 goals so far this season, and most of them have been fairly recently, and he's also been their main source of creativity throughout the campaign. Looks like left-hand side of midfield, and King joining Solanke up top.
They've certainly got goals on the pitch now, Bournemouth, and they definitely need them.
Now Lucas João on the edge of the penalty area, losing out to Nepham, who lofts downfield. It's headed square by Semedo, only as far as Solanke, and his header wide will be gathered by Stanislas, who's got the opportunity to turn and drive forward. And there are so many red and black shirts ahead of him. Wide towards the far side, and King. Smith looking to create the space for him, square towards Stanislas again. Now Brooks on the edge of the penalty area. Brooks had the opportunity to turn, but he's driven wide instead. Now King once again. King will pick his way through the bodies, but his attempted ball across the area was behind Stacey.
It was a lovely move by Bournemouth. A really, really nice move. They're probing, but credit to Reading. They're really determined, really resilient. There's very little gaps in their defence, and they're proving very difficult for Bournemouth to break down.
Here is Stanislas once again. In towards King. King's ball though was behind Wilshere, but it's gathered by Lewis Cook, and it's Mepham now. Of course, Lucas João is the only player anywhere near the halfway line for Reading at this stage, so Bournemouth have the opportunity to push more bodies forward. Brooks, square again towards Wilshere. Stanislas coming short. Stanislas finds Brooks again in space on the edge of the area, but his first touch was just a bit heavy, and it's Reading who will clear, and it was Elise who plays it forward. He was looking for João, and Elise has just gone down with cramp as he played that ball, and is now trying to stretch it off with 7.5 minutes to play. Reading leading here by 3-0.
The Reading players have put in one hell of a shift, because they're 3-0 up, but certainly Bournemouth have enjoyed the majority of possession, and Reading have had to work exceptionally hard to be in this position in the game.
Well, Raphael just booms the ball straight out of play, so Elise can receive some treatment. It's Josh Laurent who is actually administering some help for his cramp at the moment.
if you actually look at the body language of all the players, both teams, you can see the demands that the amount of games that they've played through the Christmas period and then into January have had on them all. They're all stretching hamstrings and stretching calves, and obviously the pitches have taken a hammering as well with the amount of games played on them. So they're heavy, and it's really tough for all the players, particularly in the Championship, where the intensity of the games, and obviously a 46-game season.
Well, the stats around this game are remarkable. Reading lead by 3-0, but Bournemouth have had 59% possession, 15 shots, 4 on target and 12 corners, and they're 3-0 down.
It's felt like that type of game, hasn't it? It's certainly been unique. It's been thoroughly entertaining to watch.
Here is Wilshere now on the edge of the penalty area. Lawrence challenge on him, and he fouls Jack Wilshere, and it's a free kick for Bournemouth with 6 minutes to play.
You will have to be a very, very good player to get to take this free kick, because Bournemouth have got so many options, so many players that could take it. I'm going for Junior Stanislas.
Yeah, it'll be him or Brooks. And Wilshere has walked away from it now, but of course he's square of it. Lewis Cook is also expressing an interest, but Stanislas and Brooks have been very good from set pieces overall so far this season.
Stanislas is really dangerous from these areas. If they're going to get back in it, Bournemouth, they need a goal now.
Yeah, this has to go in. Stanislas with a very deliberate run-up. Brooks, though, is shaping to take it, but it could be the decoy. It's Stanislas who does strike it, and he's scored low over the wall, and one bounce into the net. Raphael may have been unsighted, and Junior Stanislas belatedly has started the Bournemouth revival. 5 minutes to play. It's now 3-1.
Game on. Junior Stanislas, fantastic strike. It seemed to go through the wall. Raphael would be disappointed, I think. He's frustrated with his wall, so whether someone ducked or whether it went through, it's difficult to see from here, but Bournemouth have got a goal back. There's 5 minutes to play plus injury time.
Their 13th goal from outside the penalty area so far this season, the most in the Championship for Bournemouth. And if they can score in the next 2 minutes, then we've got a dramatic finish on our hands. And they've got so many offensive players on the field now, they can only go one way. As Reading give the ball up on the edge of the penalty area, and it's Stanislas who is driving forward now, but he just cuts back and finds Mepham. Now Wilshere, who won that free kick.
It's been a unique game, as the stats prove, and I wouldn't put anything past it.
No. Well, it's been a unique season in that respect, isn't it? Here is Mepham. So many strange results, dramatic comebacks, and now Cook with a long ball forward to find King, who breaks into the penalty area. Josh King is still going, the shot was blocked, and it squirts out towards Solanke until it's eventually gathered by Raphael. Well, that was a chance. It
was a chance. Credit to Jason Tindall, because whatever he said to Josh King at half-time, he certainly got a response, and he could easily have taken him off, and probably the easiest decision would have been to take him off at half-time, but he didn't. He stayed loyal to him. He showed him his trust, and Josh King has been significantly better this half, and we've seen the Josh King that we would all expect.
Now Cook, under pressure from Zhao, has given away a throw-in for Reading deep inside Bournemouth territory. 3 minutes to play on TalkSport 2. Reading leading by 3-1, and we're about to see a treble change. The second one of the game. This one's been made by Reading. Thomas Estevez, the 18-year-old on loan from Porto, will come on for Michael Elise. And Elise is milking the moment, to say the very least, as he makes his way off. Lucas Zhao is also replaced by Yaku Meite, who plays for the first time since suffering a knee injury on December the 9th.
These substitutions could take some time.
Yes, yes. Well, Elise has only just got to the touchline now, but other Reading players are making their way off via a shorter route, and it's the other player who's gone off is Tom Holmes, and he has been replaced by Andre Yaedom, another player coming back from injury, his first game since November the 7th, but I'm sure Reading will be delighted to see them back. And it just showed, Danny, that they've got a bit of depth now.
They have. Yeah, they've got a good squad, and they've got a lot of players playing at the top of their game. So it's exciting times if you're a Reading supporter.
The ball is thrown in towards the edge of the Bournemouth penalty area. It's eventually cleared. King will fight for it. Now Wilshere will drive forward for Bournemouth over the halfway line. It's wide towards the far side, and Stanislas, who scored that free kick a few moments ago. 90 seconds of normal time to play. 3-1 Reading lead here on TalkSport 2, the home of the EFL. Coming up at the end of this game, more PGA Tour golf. The Farmers Insurance Open live from Torrey Pines in San Diego. Here is Stanislas now. Wilshere on the edge of the penalty area, lost out to Aluko, and this could be the breakaway. Aluko plays the early ball forward, and Yaku Meite will chase, and he'll get there first before Mepham on the left-hand side. He now drives into the penalty area, and he's gone beyond Mepham. Meite is still going. The first shot is blocked, and the second one, I think, maybe came off the outside of the post, and it's behind for a goal kick.
What a brilliant run by Meite. If you're a Bournemouth centre-half, you've just seen off Jowl for 87 minutes, and then Meite comes on, and he's, again, direct, powerful and athletic, and like you just alluded to, shows the depth in the Reading squad.
Now Smith for Reading, for Bournemouth rather, on the foreside. Infield towards Lewis Cook. Mepham has the opportunity to move over the halfway line now once again. There's a huge hole ahead of him, and he plays it square towards Stanislas, who looks to poke it through to King. It's back towards Stanislas again. Now Wilshere on the half turn. Shrugs off Laurent. The option wide of him down the left-hand side is Smith. And there'll be a minimum of 6 more minutes, so there is time here for Bournemouth. Trailing by 3-1. Stanislas finding Solanke in the central area. As he fairly plays it wide to Stacey. Stacey looks for Brooks, but it was Aluko who just slides in to make the challenge at the key moment for Reading, and that will be a throw into Bournemouth. Brooks has it down this near side, the right. He'll look to hit the byline. Aluko's with him, and Aluko, with a sort of challenge more appreciated on a rugby field, brings Brooks down, and it's a free kick for Bournemouth. Much better than a corner down this near side.
He's a lovely player, Brooks. Just got that ability to show the defender the ball. As the defender dives in, he quick feet whips it away from him and draws fouls, and he's been a good performer for Bournemouth in the second half.
Brooks over the free kick. If they score now, they will have around 4.5 minutes, Bournemouth, to search for an equalising goal. Brooks plays it square out towards the edge of the penalty area, and it was controlled initially by Stanislas, and he took too long to fire the shot, and he was closed down by Aluko, and he catches Aluko, and that's a free kick.
Yeah, it was a really well worked set piece actually. There was a counter attack on here for Reading,
and the ball is quickly played forward, and it's Estevez, the fullback, charging into the penalty area, and he blazes high over the top. Well, Thomas Estevez, the 18-year-old, yet to score for Reading, and he saw the headlines there.
What a chance, and that was systematic really of Bournemouth's problems in this game. Just switched off defensively, wide open on the counter attack, and Reading really should have had a fourth there.
Hooked forward by Estevez again, and there's a chase for Semedo, who gets there before Wilshere, but Wilshere is able to win it back for Bournemouth. Here is Lewis Cook, high over the top. Solanke will jump with Morrison. And I think it was Solanke who won the header, but it's a throw-in for Bournemouth on the far side, and they're still having a go here.
Yeah, we were critical of them first half in terms of their attitude and their body language, but second half they've come out, and it's been a really good response. Here
is Brooks now, right-hand side of the penalty area, early cross in. A couple of Bournemouth players went down as they challenged for it, but nothing given. Brooks has now won a loose ball back and found Lewis Cook, square towards Stanislas, and now Wilshere with a high cross in. Solanke with a header, and it's over the top, and that was an opportunity for Dominic Solanke.
Great ball by Jack Wilshere, just felt it in with his left foot in behind the Reading defence, and Solanke, he's tried really hard this evening, but but it just hasn't happened for him.
The header just looped gently over the top, and Raphael has the opportunity to take his time over the goal kick. And we have under 3 minutes of added time to play here, and the Bournemouth players, we can clearly hear them, are just telling the referee to add on some more time here as Raphael eventually clears downfield. Headed forward by Mepham. Now Morrison with an up and under down the centre, and Begovic, one bounce, will claim.
Jason Tindall will definitely take heart from his second half performance. Just the attitude and the work ethic and the mindset from the Bournemouth players has been significantly better. It bodes well for what is to come.
And they've got home games coming up against Sheffield Wednesday and Birmingham. The next home game for Reading here is absolutely massive. It's against Brentford. And they could both be challenging for the top two by the time that comes around. Aluko now scurries forward on this near side for Reading. Plays the ball off Lewis Cook, who will recover the ball before it goes behind for a corner. He's now given the ball away to Aluko, who just heads to the corner flag. Then he thinks about crossing, plays it back towards Semedo. Only two Reading players inside the area, so it's short to Richards. Richards finding Estevez, who curls a right-footed shot in. It's beaten away by Begovic, and then Mate 6 yards out, volleys into the ground, and no power in the shot, and Begovic is able to gather. He then clears long downfield. Morrison nudges Solanke over, and it's a free kick for Bournemouth.
It's been a breathtaking game. We're deep into injury time, and it's still end-to-end. It's been a fantastic advert for Championship football. Reading, I've been so impressed with the pace and the power, not just from their starting 11, also from their subs. The way they've dominated the 1v1 moments in the game has been critical and a big part of their success.
Stanislas over the free kick, high into the penalty area once again. Mepham is rising. He wins the header, but it just takes a deflection on the way through, and all the power was taken out of that, and Raphael was able to just flop on the ball again, and that should be that. Crucial victory for Reading. And in the second half, it's been a case of just seeing it out, but they've also had opportunities to plump up the cushion, which they've not taken. Well, Bournemouth could leave here, Danny. It's the strange nature of the Championship. They could have got a point in the second half.
You're right, Nigel. This could have been about 6-all.
Yes.
There's been so much goal-mouth opportunity, both ends. It's been a really intriguing game. Two different styles. Bournemouth with a sort of open, expansive, possession-based game. Reading with the threat that they've carried all night on the counter-attack. It's been a fantastic tactical battle, and you know, although Bournemouth have missed chances, Reading definitely deserved the victory.
Big win for Reading, and they move level on points with Swansea and Watford at the top of the Championship table behind Norwich. All the damage done for them in the first half. 3 goals scored in 19 minutes from Laurent, McIntyre and Zhao. Bournemouth were awful in the opening 45 minutes, but Jason Tindall made changes. They improved significantly after the break, but they only scored 1 goal late on, a free kick from Junior Stanislas. They had chances to score others, but they came and went in the end. It is 3 successive defeats for Bournemouth for the first time in the EFL since 2013. It is finished. Reading 3, Bournemouth 1.